Dallas is on the clock. They got to get him some help. I got to get this man some help. Spencer Dinwiddie, Tim Hardaway Jr., good, but not enough. He needs help. 33, 8, and 8, he's doing his job. 150% shooting. He's doing his job.
I need to preface this by saying Luka Doncic didn't go up to the Dallas Mavericks and said,
"Hey, I'm giving you this amount of time to build a team around me or else I am demanding a trade."
That is not what happened. This is just whispers that is going behind the scenes from a reputable source, and it might even be a little speculative. So before we get to the content, make sure you drop a like, subscribe, and turn on our notifications to help the channel grow. Now that we got all that out of the way, cue the intro. It's challenging being a sports fan in California because they did not pass the prop that allows us to gamble on games. So we had to look for some alternatives, and we did. Introducing PrizePicks, a very simple daily fantasy sports game, which in my opinion is better. PrizePicks is available in 30 states, DC, and Canada. And it's very simple. All you do is look at PrizePicks' projections and you choose higher or lower than their projection. Now, to be honest, I've had significantly more luck with my picks in the NBA than on the NFL, but technically I'm partnered for PrizePicks on the NFL, but I really want to bring you guys some of my picks for the NBA. First, sign up for PrizePicks with my link in the description down below, or download the app on your phone and use promo code microphone, and they'll match up to $100 of your initial deposit. Now, once you're done with that, make these picks. Markelle Fultz has been averaging about 3.8 assists for the past few games, so we're going to pick him, and we're going to choose less than 5.5 assists versus the Atlanta Hawks. You could go many ways with Luka Doncic because recently he's been crushing it. You could either bet that he's going to have more than 29.5 points versus the Cavs, which I think he will, or you could say he's going to have more than 2.5 threes. So he needs to make at least 3 threes, which is the direction I think I'm going to go in. I'm going to say Luka is going to get at least 3 threes tonight. Markelle Fultz is going to get less than 5.5 assists. And if we hit on both of these picks, we could 3x our money. Now, I play PrizePicks all the time. If you guys want to see more of my picks, then make sure you follow me on Instagram or Twitter. And if you sign up for PrizePicks, make sure you use my link in the description down below so you could get up to a $100 deposit match from them, so you have more money to play with. And thank you, PrizePicks, for the sponsor. Mic check 1 2 1 2. What's going on, everybody? I cannot believe we are already in the 5th year of Luka Doncic's career, and what we've seen so far from his very brief career has been nothing but phenomenal. Prior to Luka Doncic's arrival in the NBA, basketball players were expected to be either incredibly athletic or remarkable at shooting. And don't get me wrong, Luka Doncic is a fairly solid three-point shooter. He's no Steph Curry, but his three-pointer is definitely something you have to respect. But when Luka came into the NBA, at least in the pre-draft process, the one knock on him was how good was he going to be? This is a man that isn't necessarily the most athletic. People didn't really pay attention to his phenomenal accolades prior to coming into the NBA. I mean, you saw it for yourself. The Phoenix Suns selected DeAndre Ayton, the Sacramento Kings selected Marvin Bagley, and hell, even the Atlanta Hawks traded Luka Doncic for Trae Young and a 2019 first-round pick, which might be the most win-win trade in NBA history, but I digress. I personally would have never expected his career to go the way it's gone so far. I mean, just to recap, in year 1, he was averaging 21 points per game as a rookie with 6 assists and 8 rebounds, which is better than what LeBron James was able to do in his rookie year, but obviously you can't really compare Luka to LeBron. They have things that are similar about their games, but at the same time, they're very, very different, obviously. Following year 1, the Dallas Mavericks saw everything that they needed to see with Luka Doncic. They realized that not only did they nail their draft pick, but they have to hurry their asses up and try to build a contender around Luka as quickly as possible before he gets up and leaves. And they did just that. Within months of Luka Doncic's debut in the NBA, the Dallas Mavericks decided to trade DeAndre Jordan, Wesley Matthews, and Dennis Smith Jr. to the New York Knicks for Trey Burke, Courtney Lee, Tim Hardaway Jr., and Kristaps Porzingis. Now, at the time, Kristaps Porzingis was hailed as a unicorn, as the all-star teammate that would be perfect for Luka Doncic, and Honestly, Mark Cuban's dream scenario, because you know how much Mark Cuban loves international players, because it's good for the marketing of his team, because it gives his team international appeal. I mean, from the very beginning, the Dallas Mavericks were all in with Luka. They tried to make it work with Kristaps Porzingis. It didn't work with Kristaps Porzingis. They decided to give up on Kristaps Porzingis during the 2021 to 2022 season. But that's not the only example of the Dallas Mavericks trying to do everything they possibly can to make sure there's the right pieces around Luka Doncic, because during the 2021 offseason, they decided to part ways with their most iconic coach in their franchise's history. I mean, debatable. It's between Rick Carlisle and Don Nelson, and Rick Carlisle has won a championship, but we're going to give it to Rick Carlisle. And they decided to hire Jason Kidd. And the way I perceive this is the Dallas Mavericks are essentially throwing darts at a dartboard, trying to figure out what pieces they need to put around Luka Doncic to ensure that they can keep him for the long haul. They don't want a scenario like LeBron James's first tenure with the Cleveland Cavaliers, where the Cleveland Cavaliers got bamboozled by Carlos Boozer after trying to re-sign him, and then Boozer inevitably signed with the Utah Jazz, in addition to the Cleveland Cavaliers missing on multiple first-round picks, and then trying to bring in a past his prime Shaquille O'Neal and Antoine Jameson to convince LeBron James to re-sign with them in the 2010 offseason, which obviously didn't work out. The Mavericks understand that they're on the clock. They have a potential once-in-a-generation type player on their roster. And you might be thinking, well, Luka doesn't even have an MVP. But the fact that Luka Doncic was able to sign a supermax contract during his restricted free agency period is all you need to know about how special this man is. We've never seen something like that in NBA history. And to be honest, it's well deserved. Now you might be wondering, Mike, you're just telling us what we know. Why are you bringing all this up? Well, Tim McMahon recently made headlines by saying that the Dallas Mavericks have a 2-year window to convince Luka Doncic to stay in Dallas. So according to Tim McMahon, he said this on the Hoop Collective podcast, and keep in mind as we go into this, Luka's under contract until the 2026 to 2027 season. There's no way that he could just leave them via free agency, but obviously the Mavericks understand what's at stake here. If you don't figure out the Luka Doncic puzzle, you're gonna squander one of the greatest talents that possibly ever had in NBA history. So McMahon says that they have a 2-year window this season and next season going into the 2024 summer. I think they have a 2-year window where, you know, like Milwaukee did with Giannis, and I think in that window they really need to convince Luka that he has a chance to contend year in and year out right here in Dallas. If they can't get it done in that 2-year window, I'm not going to sit here and tell you that he's going to force a trade or ask for a trade. I'm just saying at that point, if he's not happy, he has all the leverage in the world if he would be looking for leave. Now, to be clear, McMahon also says that Luka isn't looking for reasons to leave, but you also have to understand Luka Doncic is a very special case, and the Mavericks are consistently taking swings. I mean, they traded Kristaps Porzingis for Spencer Dinwiddie. That was a hit. But they also traded for Christian Wood, which you would think would be an ideal partner for Luka Doncic, but Christian Wood went back to being a role player when he signed with the Dallas Mavericks. He's still averaging similar numbers, he's playing a little bit less, and he's coming off of the bench, and to be honest, he's performing remarkably. He's shooting 40% from 3 this year. But this should give you an idea of how complicated this situation is. It's not like LeBron James where you know, okay, get LeBron some good defenders, get him a big man that he could run pick and roll with, and then surround him with shooters, and you have a team that could potentially contend for championships if the Golden State Warriors don't have a super team built that year. This seems to be significantly different. Now, McMahon continues to say that I am also not going to pretend that I know his innermost thoughts, but obviously I'm around this team on a regular basis. I know people who do know Luka well, and I don't think Luka will look for reasons to leave. I think he'd be perfectly happy spending his entire career in Dallas. But if he doesn't have to look for reasons and they're slamming him in the face, then that's a problem. I don't think it's a situation like that. I mean, Mark Cuban is a very, very passionate owner. On top of that, if there's a team that you want to be the face of, it would be the Dallas Mavericks. I mean, there's no state income tax in Texas. I know Luka's making plenty of money, but he's making significantly more money on that Supermax contract by not needing to pay state income tax. Now, in the end, McMahon also brings up Luka's past, saying he's also a guy who is a ruthless competitor, which means he loves winning. He's used to winning. He won championships with Real Madrid. He won a Eurobasket championship with the Slovenian national team. He also detests losing, like he can't handle handle it, whether it's cards, ping pong, but especially NBA games. It's just tough because all the Mavericks could do at this point is consistently take swing and sell potential free agents on the idea of playing with Luka Doncic. And it's not like they're necessarily a team with significant amounts of salary cap space either. They're currently almost $50 million beneath the cap. So free agency for the most part can be ruled out until, I don't know, the 2025 offseason. And that's what makes this a lot more tricky, because all the Mavericks really could do is attempt to draft homegrown talent or try to make trades to add additional pieces around Luka, but they've already done that so far, and for the most part we could all agree that it seems like the Dallas Mavericks have hit a wall. And the interesting thing here is, I don't know what the solution is. I can't even imagine Luka Doncic leaving the Dallas Mavericks, going to a new team and expecting a different result, because at the end of the day, I think it's going to be the same thing. He has a very specific play style. He's a maestro on offense, and honestly, whenever you watch him play basketball, especially in half-court sets, it's like he's playing chess and the defenses are playing checkers. He's that advanced. Let me know in the comment section down below, how do you think this is going to end? But even more importantly, what do you think the solution is for the Dallas Mavericks? Who do you put on the Dallas Mavericks to make them instant contenders? What type of players do you surround Luka Doncic with so they could immediately contend for the NBA Finals? At the end of the day, I feel like Luka needs to be placed in a specific situation to thrive, but I'm going to admit, I don't know what that situation is. I'd like to hear what you have to say. Aside from that, I'm your boy Mike. I'm dropping our mic until our next upload.